Do you understand English perfectly, but freeze when it's your turn to speak? Today, we'll show you how to respond faster even when you need time to think.
Exactly. By the end of this deep dive, you'll know 5 natural expressions that will help you avoid awkward silence.
Because, we've all been there, right? You're having a perfectly normal day. Maybe you're, you know, reading an article in English, feeling really great about your language
You're
skills.
feeling like a total pro.
Exactly. And then your phone rings, it's an unknown number, you answer it, and it feels like your brain just uh, hits the delete button on your entire English vocabulary.
It's just entirely wiped out in a second.
Completely gone. But before we get into the solutions today, we really need to look at what happens when you don't have a strategy. Like, we need to look at the awkward version of this situation.
Right, because it's entirely necessary to dissect the mistake before we can build a new habit. And the easiest way to do that is, well, to demonstrate it.
Yeah, so let's do a little role play. I want you to play the caller. Let's say you're going to be Rebecca from Bright Path Events.
Okay, sounds good.
And I am going to play the nervous English learner who has zero strategy and is just, trying to survive the call.
Perfect, let's do it. So I am Rebecca. I'm calling you right now. Ring, ring, you pick up the phone.
Hello?
Hi, this is Rebecca calling from Bright Path Events. Am I speaking with the host?
Yes.
Perfect. For Bright Path Events. I'm calling about the presentation you're giving next Thursday.
Sorry.
Your presentation next Thursday. We need to move it from 10.30 to 9.45 because the keynote speaker schedule has changed. So can you arrive by 9.15?
Maybe.
Does that mean you can confirm the new time?
I don't know. Maybe, yes.
All right. We'll also need your updated slides by Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday afternoon. Could you email them to me before 3?
Okay.
Great. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, then. See you on Thursday.
Okay. Bye.
And we can stop the role play right there.
Okay, let's unpack this because honestly, that was physically painful for me to do. It was just a complete disaster.
It was definitely hard to listen to.
Right. If you look at what actually happened there, I agreed to a completely new presentation time, a new arrival time, and a hard deadline for my slides. And I didn't actually understand a single thing that was said.
Not one thing.
No. I
Yeah.
just kept saying yes, maybe, and okay, just hoping the call would end as fast as possible.
Well, what you just demonstrated is an incredibly common trauma response to unexpected linguistic pressure.
A trauma response. Wow.
Yeah, you're literally just trying to escape the interaction. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at why a phone call is uniquely terrifying compared to talking face-to-face.
Okay, yeah, why is that?
When you are on a phone call, you completely lose all the nonverbal communication that we subconsciously rely on.
So you mean things like hand gestures and facial expressions?
It's much more than that, actually. You lose microexpressions, posture, and, crucially, you lose lip movements.
Lip movements. Like, wait, are we all reading lips without knowing it?
We are, yeah. Human beings do a significant amount of subconscious lip reading to parse sounds, especially when they're listening to a second language. Those visual cues do a massive amount of the heavy lifting for your brain's comprehension,
Oh, wow. I never really thought about that.
right? So taking them away means your auditory processing center has to work twice as hard. This creates a massive spike in cognitive load.
Which is why your vocabulary suddenly feels totally inaccessible.
Exactly. Your brain is so busy just trying to decode the raw sounds coming through the speaker that it literally has no processing power left to formulate a response.
That completely reframes the whole experience for me because, like, in person, if I'm confused, my face shows it, right? And the other person naturally slows down because they can read my confusion.
Yes, they adjust to your visual feedback.
But on the phone, Rebecca's just staring at her computer screen, talking at her normal speed, and probably assuming I'm following along perfectly.
Which brings us to the most crucial takeaway from that awkward role play we just did. The biggest mistake you made wasn't missing the information.
It wasn't.
No, missing information happens to everyone on the phone, including native speakers. The real mistake was pretending to understand.
Oh, man. Yeah, I was totally just appeasing her to get out of the situation.
Exactly. The goal of an unexpected phone call is not perfect, instant listening comprehension. The goal is simply managing the flow of the conversation.
I really want to focus on that idea of managing the flow. Like, I don't need a supercomputer brain that understands everything instantly. I just need a steering wheel to slow things
That's
down.
a perfect way to look at it.
So let's give the listener that steering wheel. The source material for today gives us 5 highly effective expressions to handle exactly this.
Yeah, we are intentionally keeping the list short because handing someone 50 phrases to memorize is just going to trigger that cognitive overload we were just talking about.
Right. 50 phrases is way too much. A small, versatile toolkit is really all you need.
So let's start at the very beginning of the interaction. The phone rings, you pick it up, and someone starts talking. If you didn't catch their name or the company, the absolute best thing you can say is, "May I ask who's calling?"
May I ask who's calling? Okay, right away, that sounds significantly better than what my panicked brain wants to say, which is bluntly asking, who are you?
Yeah, please don't say that.
Because, I mean, who are you sounds a little bit like I think they're a scammer or like someone breaking into my house.
It is decidedly aggressive. May I ask who's calling is standard business practice? You use it when you don't recognize the number or, when they rush through their introduction.
Which happens a lot.
It does. A great alternative if you want to sound slightly more apologetic is, sorry, could I ask who's calling?
So what is actually happening in the brain when we force them to repeat who they are? Because it feels like it's doing more than just being polite.
It definitely is. From a cognitive perspective, what this does is give you immediate context. It triggers what linguists call schema activation.
Schema activation.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. The moment they say, "It's Rebecca from BrightPath," your brain can load the mental file for BrightPath events.
Oh, I get it. So you suddenly know what the relationship is, you know what projects are active, and you aren't just scrambling in the dark anymore.
Exactly. Context narrows down the possible topics they're going to talk about, which drastically reduces your cognitive load.
Context is everything. Okay, so now I know who they are. My BrightPath file is open in my brain. But then Rebecca starts talking incredibly fast about times and schedules.
Yeah, they always do.
Right. And if I stop an important client to ask them to repeat themselves, doesn't that make my English look poor? I always worry that asking for repetition makes me look incompetent.
That is a very common fear, but the reality is actually the exact opposite. Think about it in your native language. Do you ever mishear a date or a time on a bad phone connection?
Oh, all the time.
Of course you do. In those moments, you simply ask for clarification. The phrase you want to deploy here is, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that."
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. That feels a lot softer than, say, I don't understand.
Because I don't understand implies a lack of ability. I didn't quite catch, that implies a temporary lapse in transmission, which, happens all the time on phones.
Yeah, that's true.
And asking a precise question right after that, like, "I didn't quite catch the time, could you repeat it?" Or, "Could you say that again a little more slowly?" That actually demonstrates competence.
How so?
It proves to the caller that you are a professional who cares deeply about getting the precise details right. A professional would always rather ask for repetition than, say, show up on the wrong day.
Wow, okay, that completely flips the script on how I view asking for help. It isn't a sign of weakness at all, it's a sign of being detail-oriented.
Precisely. You are taking responsibility for the communication rather than just passively hoping you figure it out later.
You're actively managing the data transfer. Okay, let's take that a step further. Say she slowed down, and she gave me all these new details, a new presentation time, a new arrival time, a deadline for my slides.
Right. A lot of moving parts.
My brain is swimming in data. How do I make absolutely sure I didn't mix up, like, the arrival time with the presentation time?
This is where you use our third expression, which is just to make sure I understood you correctly.
Ah, okay. Let me guess. You use this right before you summarize everything they just said.
Correct. You use this expression, and then you just repeat the details back in your own words.
You know what this reminds me of? It's like being at a really high-end restaurant. A good waiter never just nods and walks away when you order a complicated meal.
That's a great comparison.
Right. They stop, they look at their notepad, and they say, okay, so that's 1 steak, medium rare, baked potato on the side, no butter. They repeat your order back to you to ensure no mistakes are made before that ticket gets sent to the kitchen.
That is a highly accurate analogy. And that's exactly what you are doing with times, dates, prices, or deadlines. You are reading the ticket back to them.
I love that.
If you just ask, "Do you mean 9.45?"
Hmm.
That is fine. But it is much more powerful to package the whole summary. Like,
Yeah.
just to make sure I understood you correctly, the presentation starts at 9.45 and I arrive by 9.15. Is that right?
It's a safety net. And it
Yeah.
essentially forces the caller to listen to you and either confirm or correct the information.
Exactly.
But here is a scenario that always gets me. What if they ask me a question and I genuinely don't know the answer yet? Like, she wants to know if I can do 9.15 and my brain is still stuck trying to figure out what day it is or if I even have my calendar open on my computer. The silence on the line becomes terrifying.
Oh, that panic is very real. Which brings us to the fourth expression, and this one is designed specifically to address the pressure of the pause.
Okay, what is it?
When you need time, you simply say, "Could you give me a moment to check?"
Could you give me a moment to check? It seems so simple, but, in the moment, my instinct is just to say, for 10 seconds straight.
The psychology of silence on a phone call is fascinating, actually. In a face-to-face meeting, if I ask you a question and you look down at your planner, 3 seconds of silence is completely normal.
Right, because you can see what I'm doing.
Exactly. I can see you're looking for the answer. But on a phone call, 3 seconds of silence feels like an eternity. The caller can't see you. So their brain starts interpreting that silence as either a dropped call, confusion, or just incompetence.
Because they lack visual cues just as much as we do.
Precisely. So by simply explaining why you need a moment, by narrating your action with, "Could you give me a moment to check?" you completely transform that silence.
It's not an awkward, panicked gap anymore.
Right. It becomes a calm, deliberate, professional pause. You are signaling, "I am still here, and I am actively working on your request." An alternative might be, "Let me pull up my calendar just a moment."
You're replacing the, with a clear status update. I'm not frozen, I'm processing. Just taking a breath and saying, could you give me a moment to check? Suddenly makes you sound like a busy, in-demand expert who carefully manages their schedule instead of a panicked student.
It completely changes the perception.
But let's look at the worst case scenario. Let's say I've asked for repetition, I've checked my calendar, but it's just a fire hose of information. It's just too complex for me to process in real time. What is the emergency ripcord?
The final tool for taking control of the interaction is our fifth expression. "Could you send me the details by email?"
Could you send me the details by email? So we're really just moving the conversation to a medium where we have time to read and translate if necessary.
Yes, exactly. When the information is dense, highly technical, or you simply know you need a written record to feel secure in your commitments, you request the email.
A huge takeaway for me here is about setting boundaries. Like, if you feel pressured on the call, you don't have to cave in and agree to things. The phone ringing doesn't mean you owe the caller an immediate binding verbal contract.
Not at all.
I can just say, I'm not able to confirm that right now. Could you send me the details by email and I'll get back to you? It acts as an escape hatch to buy yourself a few hours to think.
It is significantly better to delay a decision than to agree to a deadline you haven't fully understood just to get off the phone. A professional would always rather wait for an email than deal with a misunderstood agreement later.
Okay, we have our framework. We have, may I ask who's calling, to get context. We have, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that, to force them to slow down.
Right.
We have, just to make sure I understood you correctly, to confirm the data. We have, could you give me a moment to check, to buy processing time? And we have, could you send me the details by email, to get a written record?
That's the toolkit.
Well, it is time for me to redeem myself. We are going to put this into practice in its natural context. Let's do the exact same role play with Rebecca from Bright Path Events. But this time, I am going to use these tools to steer the ship.
I am ready when you are. Ring, ring.
Hello, host speaking.
Hi. May I speak with the host?
This is the host. May I ask who's calling?
This is Rebecca from Bright Path Events. I'm calling about your presentation next Thursday.
Hi, Rebecca. What can I help you with?
We need to move your presentation from 10.30 to 9.45 because the keynote speaker's schedule has changed. Would you be able to arrive by 9.15?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the new starting time. Did you say 9.45?
Yes, that's right, 9.45.
Could you give me a moment to check my calendar?
Of course.
Thanks for waiting. Yes, I can arrive by 9.15.
Perfect. We'll also need your updated slides by Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, just to make sure I understood you correctly, the presentation starts at 9.45 next Thursday. I should arrive by 9.15, and you need my updated slides on Tuesday afternoon. Is that right?
Yes. And if possible, please send the slides before 3 o'clock on Tuesday.
Got it. There are quite a few details to remember here, so could you send me a quick summary by email?
Absolutely. I'll send it as soon as we finish this call.
That would be very helpful. Thanks for letting me know about the change.
You're welcome. We'll see you next Thursday.
See you then. Goodbye.
And scene. That was a completely different conversation.
You know, here is where it gets really interesting for me. While we were doing that second version, I actually still felt a tiny bit of that initial panic when you hit me with the new time. I didn't magically understand everything instantly just because I knew the phrases.
The panic doesn't just disappear overnight.
Right. But because I had the strategy ready, I didn't let the panic take over. I just deployed the next phrase. It kept me grounded, and it let me clarify the important information without sounding like I was drowning.
That is a core truth of this entire deep dive. Confident communication consistently beats perfect listening.
Confident communication beats perfect listening. That's so good.
You navigated around the gaps in your instant comprehension by using structure. You took control of the pacing, you confirmed the data, and you secured a written backup.
Yeah.
That is a masterclass in professional communication, regardless of what language you are speaking.
So, for you listening right now, we want to pose a thought experiment, a way to put this into practice while it's fresh in your mind.
Right.
Pause the video and speak for 30 seconds. What do you normally do when your mind goes blank?
Do you freeze entirely? Do you give one-word answers like in our first role play? Do you apologize excessively for your English?
You'll all be guilty of that one.
Acknowledge what your current instinct is. Then pick just one of the expressions we discussed today. Next time that phone rings and you feel that familiar panic, challenge yourself to use that single expression to reclaim control of the moment.
Because that phone is definitely going to ring again. It always does. And before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with one final thought about that moment, the moment you answer and realize it's a native speaker talking fast.
I would offer this perspective to ponder. Think about how controlling the pacing of a conversation does much more than just buy you time to translate words in your head. It fundamentally shifts the power dynamic of the entire interaction.
The power dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you stop rushing to appease the caller, when you ask them to slow down, or you state clearly that you need a moment to check your calendar, you are positioning yourself as an equal.
Wow. Yeah.
You are putting yourself in the driver's seat. Your language proficiency doesn't dictate your authority. Your ability to manage the flow of the conversation does.
That is a massive shift in mindset. You are not at their mercy just because it's their native language. You have the steering wheel. Well, if you often give very short answers, watch our next episode. What to say when your flight is delayed. We'll show you how to confidently ask for updates and discuss options when your travel plans change. Talk to you then.